I'm under a bridge in a boat with the game warden. Is this a very good day or a very bad day? We're about to find out. Today, I'm in a boat traveling up the Flint River, and I'm going to go release the behemoth, the alligator snapping turtle. I am here in central Georgia on the Flint River, and I've got a couple friends with me, and they're going to be helping me out today with something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Someone had this turtle illegally as a pet, and the state went in to confiscate it and asked us to take possession of it. And you know, we're always getting in animals that are non-releasable, that we have to keep in captivity for whatever reason. They can't be relocated. But with this particular turtle, we thought he'd be perfect for education, to teach people how awesome alligator snapping turtles are, and that they are a protected species. You can't go catch them, you can't keep them as pets, and God forbid you can't eat them, okay? These are really awesome turtles that really need our protection. And we do use this turtle for education. We even have videos on this channel that have featured this turtle. Since we knew where this turtle came from specifically, I knew that we could potentially release this turtle, but the decision wasn't going to be up to me. That was going to be up to law enforcement division, as well as our state biologist, Georgia's herpetologist.
I'm Daniel Sollenberger. I work for Georgia DNR, and I'm our state's herpetologist. The alligator snapping turtle is a large riverine turtle. They prefer to live in rivers and streams and sort of the swamps that are connected to those things. They're one of the largest turtles in the world. They're the largest freshwater turtle in North America. Historically, they grew over 200 pounds. Reports exist of animals over 250 pounds. You know, nowadays, a 90, 100-pound turtle is a pretty big turtle. There's a lot of conservation concern throughout their range, and in particular here in Georgia, because historically they were fished for food. People would actually catch them, trap them, and use them as a food item. Campbell's Soup Company actually used to sell turtle soup, and a lot of that turtle was in fact alligator snapping turtles from here in the South.
I'm Lieutenant Wayne Hubbard. I'm a game warden with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. I run our special permit unit, which permits folks that do educational programs and hold animals in captivity. This turtle was confiscated. I believe it was being held as an illegal pet, and then ended up on the pet trade for sale. And we got it, and it was turned over to Jason. Jason is permitted with our office to hold native species for educational purposes, as well as a lot of non-native species. So a lot of times when we have confiscations and or we need a place for an animal to be held while during pending court cases or something like that, Jason helps us out with that.
That's a big boy,
yeah,
or girl. I've never even sexed it. Don't you look at the cloaca and how far up or down the tail? Isn't it kind of
right?
So
yes.
Lower on the tail is a male.
Generally with turtles, the cloaca will be further outside the shell for the male, because he has to use that.
Yeah, and closer to the shell for the female. Yeah. But if you don't really know what you're looking at, or don't have something to compare with, it can kind of be hard to know if it's a male or female.
In alligator snappers, generally the really big ones are males. Smaller ones are females.
I'm going to get it out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sit on this lid so you can just keep talking.
Okay. And so this, oh God. Yeah, this is kind of a, believe it or not, a medium-sized alligator snapper. This isn't even a really big one.
A medium-sized alligator snapper we have here today. And so these guys are so cool. And one cool thing about alligator snappers, see how he's holding his mouth open? That's not because he wants to bite. You put your hand in there, he won't do anything. Go ahead, Daniel, show him. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Right. This is a snapping turtle. He will snap your hand off, okay? But what he does is he lays under a log jam or somewhere out here in this water, and he holds his mouth open. And he basically has a little tongue. You can actually see Wayne, come here and see his tongue. Can you get in there? Don't get my camera too close, Wayne.
But that piece of tissue there, that's just on top of his tongue. And that's a lure. It looks kind of like a worm. There's two little prongs to it there. They can actually wiggle that around like a worm underwater, and if the rest of him is sitting still, it just looks like a worm on a log. And a little bluegill or something, a little fish comes in to take a bite of that worm and it gets bit back.
And that's cool because that actually reminds me of pygmy rattlesnakes, copperheads, and cottonmouths, because those three snakes, when they're born, they have what's called a caudal lure. The end of their tail is like a bright yellowish green color, and they'll do the same thing he does. They coil up and they hide. They put the tail in front of their face and they wiggle it, and here comes usually a lizard, maybe a frog or toad, thinks it's a caterpillar or worm, bites the tail, the snake has dinner. So same thing here with the alligator snapper. This is a very strong turtle, but people often mistake alligator snappers for don't you bite me, turtle. They mistake alligator snappers for common snappers. So this is not a turtle we're going to see crossing the road, right, Daniel?
Right. That would be a very unusual occurrence for one. Once they go into the water, most of them stay in the water. The females,
laying eggs.
Females will leave. They'll actually climb up like these high bluffs you see across the river where the nests won't get flooded. They'll climb up there, lay eggs, and then return to the river. And other than that, they pretty much stay in the water all the time.
And so if you're catfishing in your pond, you're catching a snapping turtle, it's not gonna be an alligator snapping turtle. You're
Unless someone threw one in there, you know, that.
So people will call me and they'll say, hey, I've got an alligator snapping turtle. And I'll tell them, well, it's probably not an alligator snapper when I ask where they caught it. And then they're like, no, it's definitely an alligator snapper. And I said, well, does it have big spikes on its tail? They said, yeah, it's got spikes on its tail. I said, alligator snappers don't, okay? Common snappers have those big spikes on their tail, and he's got a big tail. He's got bumps on his tail, but no big spikes or ridges raising up. But that's just one way to identify common snappers versus alligator snappers. We have another video on here where we go into a little bit more detail in distinguishing these two turtles. That's cool. Right. Sit him down right here, and we'll slide him down this way. All right, buddy. We'll slide you down. I'm already muddy now. It doesn't matter at this point. Just don't fall and land on his face.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Come on, fella. Come on. You're gonna like it here, I promise. You're gonna like it. Oh, there we go. All right, fella, now's your chance. Goodbye. Well, this was fun. I got a little bit wet, but it is hot out here. Oh, just ran over a manatee. It is hot out here, and the water actually felt kind of good. The mud, not so much, but this was definitely a fun day. Beautiful out here, isn't it?
I've never been on this river.
I've never been out here on this part. I really like it. Makes me want to. I don't fish. I'm too busy catching snakes and alligators, but it makes me want to come fish. That means something swam off with a hook in its mouth or in its stomach.
Or somebody just cut it.
Yep.
For a second. All right, so you might be wondering why there's a random piece of string tied to a limb in the river, but if you ride up through here, there's quite a few of them. This is the remains of a limb line or a bush hook, or there's lots of names for it, but it's a method of catching fish. People usually put a weight and a large hook on the end, dangles in the water, bait it with something that catfish like to eat, and catch catfish this way. The issue with these is, especially if they're left unattended for long periods of time, they can snag turtles that pass by. A big alligator snapper or some other turtle can just inadvertently swim into it, even if it doesn't have bait on it, and get hung and be trapped there for a long time. This one doesn't have a hook anymore. Someone cut it off. Also, if there's bait on it, sometimes they'll eat the bait. Alligator snapping turtles will eat dead, dying fish, carrion, things like that, and so sometimes they get caught. So we don't know exactly how many times this happens to alligator snapping turtles, but we know it has happened. It does happen sometimes. We get pictures and reports of it, and so it may possibly be an issue for them. It's something that we're looking into.
So we should cut this one down.
We can cut it down, yeah. I mean, there's no hook on it, but we can at least get the line out of the water. I mean, a turtle or even a boat motor might run into it and get tangled up, so it's probably a good idea to get rid of these apparently abandoned limb lines as you see them.
Bad on birds too.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Anybody got a knife?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about birds getting them, but yeah. Look out for cottonmouths dropping in the boat.
A very common occurrence along the Flint. No, just kidding. So we're here at the boat ramp loading up the boat, and I look right here on this tree is another line going into the water, and there may be nothing on it, but we're gonna see. Okay, now there's something on it because it's heavy. I can feel it. What if we caught another alligator snapping turtle? We get to do 2 release. Okay, no, it's a basket. Somebody throwing this basket in here. I see some trash. I see a sock. What else is in here? Oh, look at there. Remnants of a turtle. There's a couple crawfish in here. Oh, hey, there's snake skin in here. There's snake skin. There's a dead turtle and 2 crawfish. So we're gonna at least try to get the crawfish out of here. Turn them back loose. I should open up. And what's the scientific name of this crawfish?
I don't know.
Crawfish is
a little small for gumbo. So, yeah. Don't litter, y'all.
Wow. Being able to keep and maintain and care for this alligator snapping turtle and use it for educational programs is a highlight of my life I will never forget. But I'll tell you what, seeing that turtle swim away into this river, that was better than anything. That was awesome.
They get that?
Did you get that? Don't get that. That's the 15th time I've almost failed since we've been on this slippery bank.
It gets harder if you get in the water. Like it gets firmer.
Well, I gotta get to
firmer,
the
not
water.
harder.
I gotta
It
get
actually
to the
gets
water
easier.
to.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see my shoe. My shoe's under the boat. The things I do for wildlife. Messing up my shoes. Ugh. Oh, there goes my shoes coming off. Ugh. These are my brand new socks. Oh, that shoe's coming off. Hang on. All right. Crap. We should have turned them loose at the boat ramp. At least that was concrete.